Hello everyone, it's Darkseeker here again. Welcome back for another video and happy Saturday to all of you. I hope you're all keeping well. So, before we get to the main deck that we want to showcase today, let's look at last weekend. Last weekend, I was able to get Legend on World Mode with BattMasile's Odd Rogue. And so satisfying to beat a big priest on turn 5 before they could start getting their big threats out, before they can start resurrecting those threats, particularly if they're taunts. Makes life very difficult. So yes, early aggression is the absolute key. And thanks to this Odd Rogue deck, we were able to get that quick win for Legend. And I had something like 12 wins, I think, and 1 loss with this deck. An absolutely insane record. Small sample of games, yes, but given my lack of experience with Rogue, one of my least played classes, to get 12 wins and to go on such a streak like I've not had in a long time with Hearthstone, that was insane. Absolutely insane. So BattMasile, thank you so much for that deck. I was able to pick it up quite easily and get Legend. Very, very satisfying. So, the Forged in the Barrens expansion is soon to be upon us, and we are waiting for that expansion. It'll be next week. So, while sitting in the waiting room, I thought, let's play a bit of Hearthstone Classic. So I started playing Hearthstone back in 2014, just before the Naxxramas expansion arrived. And times back then were simpler. Things were easier. There were fewer cards to deal with and think about. And Handlock, which is the deck that you can see here on your screen, was very popular. You'd spend your first few turns tapping, and then you'd play your first big threat. Usually it'd be a Mountain Giant or a Twilight Drake. And that big threat would usually be quite difficult for an opponent to remove, and if you can get value trades with a Mountain Giant for a couple of turns, and it's still alive, and then you could start going face with it for 8, in the meantime still developing other big threats, that's really, really significant. So this deck can be very aggressive early if your giants go uncontested. This deck can also be very defensive. You have Shadow Flame, so you can Shadow Flame a giant to clear a board. The deck also has a Siphon Soul for single target removal. You have Hellfire for wide boards. And if you really need to protect your face, a Defender of Argus and Sun Fury Protector can taunt up those Twilight Drakes, taunt up those giants. But even then, if you're going into the late game and you need a bit of extra firepower, Lord Jarraxus is in this deck. And as you know, one of my favourite cards in Hearthstone, and this is a great deck to play him in. So let's have a look at a few highlights of this Handlock deck in action on Classic mode. So, I played a few games of Classic, and I was facing Hunters, and I was facing warriors, I think, mages, priests. No warlocks. So I thought, okay, now would be a good time to play Handlock. My first game as Handlock, what happens? I face another Handlock, of course, the mirror match. Now I'm not an especially great Handlock player. It's an experience thing. The more you play it, the better you become at it. I haven't played Handlock for God knows how many years, right? So going into this bit blind. And the mirror matchup especially can be very punishing if your opponent just plays a lot better than you, if your opponent is a lot more experienced than you and knows what they're doing with the cards. Yes, it can be more punishing. And there are decisions to make with this deck. There's a bit of thinking needed. So for example, on the early turns where you put down your first minion, which is a Mountain Giant or a Twilight Drake, which one do you put down if you have a choice? Which one goes first is the question. I guess it depends on what your opponent has on the board, right? You react to that. But anyway, tapping seems key in this deck. You want to get your health total down so you can play your Molten Giants cheaply. But use of board clears here, so use of Shadow Flame in particular, I think is going to be a key determining factor in who comes out the victor in this game. How long do you want to hang on to that Shadow Flame for? How long do you want to wait for your opponent to commit stuff to the board? There are 3 minions on that board, and I'm looking at the taunt in the way of my giant. And so I am thinking, do I Shadow Flame here? Or can I wait a turn, take some face damage, get my Molten Giants cheaper? So yeah, a bit of thought needed. But decided to go with the Shadow Flame there. I thought it was reasonable value. Whilst I still had something on the board, a giant that I could activate Shadow Flame with. If I'd not Shadow Flamed on that turn, they may have cleared my giant, developed more stuff, and I'd be without anything on the board. So it'd be a problem. Ooh, Tempo Hellfire. How interesting. Nothing else to do? Well, if they've got nothing else to do... You face Jaraxxus, we may as well take advantage of Jaraxxus on an empty board. Love this card. Absolutely adore and love this card. And I cannot wait for the new Jaraxxus hero to go live. I'm going to be all over that. I'm going to be playing that non-stop. My shield for Argon. Okay. Ancient Watcher. For those of you that are newer Hearthstone players may never have seen Ancient Watcher played before. So the thing about Ancient Watcher, the stats look good on it for its cost, but it can't attack. Right, it's static. But what you can do is you can taunt it up, like our opponent has done there, and it creates a bit of a wall, or you can silence it with Iron Beak Howl, and then it can attack. Oh yes, this brings back such memories. But we've made our own wall here, and our wall is bigger than the opponent's wall. Okay, there's an owl, sure. Wasn't expecting that. Was definitely not expecting owl number 2. We have no taunts now. Our face is vulnerable. Oh god, our face really is vulnerable. That's power overwhelming into something else. He's targeting my face. Soul fire. Ouch. And another one. Double ouch. Okay, Shadow Bolt. Can't go face. Thank goodness. So the opponent, wow, they really went all out there to put us at 1. But that's lethal. Wow, what a game. Very tense. But winning with Lord Jarraxus, incredibly satisfying. Okay, next game is a Paladin. Alright, they didn't want to play. They did not want to play. Oh dear. Right, time for a warrior. Can we get them to play with us, or are they going to concede too? So, this mulligan, I kept the Mountain Giant. That makes sense, because you tap. I also kept the Ancient Watcher and Lord Jarraxus. I don't know if I should have kept the Ancient Watcher. I kept Lord Jarraxus just because I can see this game maybe going a bit long. I can see Jaraxxus giving us value in this game against this opponent. Maybe I should not have kept Lord Jarraxus, actually. If this was going the long game, I should have thrown Jaraxxus away and just waited for him in the long game, much later down the line. I should have been looking for Twilight Drakes, I think, and the other Mountain Giant. So there's my inexperience showing with the mulligan. The mulligan is so important with this deck, and you've got to be able to read the opponent you're playing and think, okay, what do I keep, what do I throw away? It's so important. Oh gosh. That's 7. But not throwing it face. They are trading with the minion. Interesting. Interesting. They see the Ancient Watcher as a threat. That's pretty cool. Respect to the Ancient Watcher. Our opponent clearly knows that, you know, we can taunt it up. They know that we can silence it, make it attack. They know why it's played in the deck. So they respect it. And that's pretty cool. But they're clearly stumped on what to do here. 5 mana. Play a minion. Hit my face. Equip another weapon. Okay, whilst our opponent is stalling, that gives us a bit of time to think about what we can do next. So we have a Mountain Giant in hand. We also have Ancient Watcher, again, that we could play. Or we could just play Tempo Thalnos. We could tap, put Thalnos down. Tap, Ancient Watcher. Tap, Giant? Would that work? Oh, hello, he's woken up. Frothing Berserker. Blast from the Past. Fairy Dragon 2. Alright, so the Giant is a significant threat. The question is, do they ignore it and go face? Or do they trade everything in? That's the question. Yes, decisions are to be made here. Oh, bloody hell. Argent Commander. Golden Argent Commander too. Very fancy. Now this is 3 hits. The Giant has absorbed 3 attacks there. That's really impressive. The question is, do we want to remove the frothing now with Siphon Soul? I guess so. I was looking at an Ancient Watcher play, maybe with Argus, but I think Siphon Soul was much better there. Oh god, they have another one. It's a lot of face damage. But look at our Molten Giant. Only costs 2. So we can taunt that up now. And then we're going to say to the opponent, deal with that. Now, Ironbeak Owl would concern us, potentially. Our previous opponent had 2 Ironbeak Owls on the same turn. And that was a worry. I could have tapped, potentially there. But I don't necessarily want to get my health down that much more at this point. I am worried about silence effects. And then I'm worried about how much damage they can do face if they silence my taunts. Oh, Warsong Commander! It's back! And these minions have charge. Think about that. That's great. That's absolutely great. Do they have one more minion to play from hand? No? Okay. This is fine. This is absolutely fine. So the power of Sun Fury Protector there on display, protecting our face. Now I do feel happy tapping, given what we've seen. I feel safe at 10. Okay. Lord Jarraxus can heal us back to 15 if needed. We'll see what's coming from the opponent's side. That's fine. Oh, it has charge, of course. Should I have found a way to prioritise with dealing with the Warsong Commander? Oh wow, Mortal Strike. Completely forgot that that card exists. I guess at one point Pirate Warrior on Wild Mode did play it. But anyway, it's time!
You face Jaraxxus, Lord of the Burning Legion.
You face Jaraxxus. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We will trade to be safe, and we will see what they have in response to this. They certainly can't do 15 damage to kill me on one turn with one single card, so I feel, yeah, completely safe. And if the game had gone on, we have that hero power to summon Infernals, we could taunt them up. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so this Handlock deck I found on Hearthstone, courtesy of a player called Kanomjeeeen. So thank you, Kanomjeeeen, for this great deck. I've had so much fun playing it, so many great memories. One thing that I did not talk about at the start of the video and during the games is that a key finisher with this deck is Leroy Jenkins and Power Overwhelming. That combo can just find you lethal under certain circumstances. It's easy to overlook that finisher because you've got these other big minions in your deck like Mountain Giants, Molten Giants, the Infernals from Jaraxxus, that hit for 6 damage. So you've got all these big threats, and thus it is easy to overlook the subtle Leroy Jenkins PO combo that can just end a game out of nowhere. And your opponent doesn't see it coming, they don't expect it. They expect the Giants, they expect the Twilight Drakes, but they never see Leroy coming. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, everybody. The Forge of the Barrens expansion will soon be upon us. Can't wait to get stuck into that. Can't wait to see what decks people come up with. And can't wait to see what happens with the wild mode meta once the new cards are released. So until next time, please take care of yourselves, please look after yourselves, and please stay safe. And I'll see you all again very soon for more Hearthstone fun.